This is a question I get a lot, whether people are presenting on Zoom or they're on stage or they have a media interview or they're on a panel or they have just a one-on-one meeting that's really, really important. How to stop your voice from shaking during any kind of public speaking engagement. This is really important. No one wants to sound shaky, squeaky, or choked up when they speak. There's so many studies that talk about if your voice is high pitched, it can give off the misperception that you're anxious or not confident. And also, same thing when you're breathing and you're not breathing deeply from your tummy using your diaphragm. And if you're just breathing up really here and you're taking really shallow breaths, when your breaths are really shallow and they're not deep, we can be perceived as not confident. People won't have the trust in you if that happens, if your voice is shaky or if you're a shallow breather. This stuff is really, really important. It's becoming more important when you're a thought leader or CEO of a company, a VP, or if you're just trying to move up to one of those positions. We really have to make sure our voice truly reflects the confidence you have in yourself or your expertise. And if your voice is shaky or if you breathe really shallow, up here, you won't sound like the expert and you won't command audiences and you will not have the trust of your team. It's really hard to trust someone thinking that they're anxious, they're nervous. And I should say, kind of worse is like you make people very anxious around you if you breathe that way. If you sound anxious, even though you're not, you're going to make people feel very anxious. And think about that when you are going and you're asking for investors, if you're looking for funding, if you are looking to make a big decision and you have to go and talk to the board about something. You want to sound like you have absolutely done all your research and you feel extremely confident about this one decision. And if your voice is shaky or if you sound nervous, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to think that you really have figured this out and that you feel confident about that decision. This matters much more now. We're having so many meetings that are face to face and there's so many things that go through people's heads. So we're seeing this happen more and more. We're hearing it happen more and more. And our voice is such a huge part. So here are some tips. I would say number one, the biggest one is don't wing it. I hear so many times when people I have a discovery call. They call me and they say, I really want to get ready. I've been given some feedback that maybe I could do better on stage, or the perception is that I just really don't have all my ducks in a row when I present. So people come to me and they say, I really just don't want to wing it anymore. I want to sound prepared. And that is a huge way to not have a shaky voice or an anxious voice, is be prepared. Do not wing it. It's going to serve you in so many different ways, but the number one way to not have that shaky voice is to be prepared. Next is know where you're going with your speech. If you prepare, if you don't wing it, you know the reason behind why you're there. What is going to be your call to action? What do you want people to do? If you feel confident about that because you figured it out, you know where the speech is going or where that talk is going, or even if you're presenting, you're talking to your team on Zoom, you want to know how you're going to start, how you're going to start really strong, what's going to be in the middle, the guts, the meat and the potatoes of your talk, and then how are you going to end really strong so people remember you and then they go forth and do what you wanted them to do, that call to action. So having that beginning, middle, and end really laid out for yourself. You could put it on a Post-it note, put some bullet points up on your Mac screen or on a camera or whatever it is, but know where you're going in your speech and you'll be less nervous, so your voice will definitely be less shaky. I did that for this talk. I made sure I knew what my points were and I put them out. I bullet pointed them out. So I don't sound nervous or shaky because I feel like I know where I'm going. And that's a huge difference. If I just jump in front of a camera, I'm definitely going to have more filler words and I'm going to have that shaky, not confident sounding voice if I haven't figured out my beginning, middle, and end, where I'm going with this. All right, so a couple of these things are all, where I'm going to go here, they might sound like, oh, I can't believe it sounds really woo-woo. But another thing is know your audience. Know what they want to hear. Make sure you make it about your audience, because if you have a shaky voice and you're just because you're nervous, you just have nerves, you might have a mindset issue, you might actually, have a confidence issue. We all have a lack of confidence in some way. There's a spectrum, right? But we all have some kind of lack of confidence. We all have some kind of mindset issue that we deal with on a daily basis. And I'm telling you this because people are always shocked when they call me. We get on that discovery call and I'm like, I deal with companies that have they're $12 billion companies, and sometimes the C-suite has mindset issues. I would say actually they all have something, but again, we're on a spectrum. So some people are a little bit more nervous, other people are a little less nervous, but they have some kind of issue. But I will say, once we make it about the audience and serving the audience members, it makes us feel a lot less nervous. And if you focus on their needs and what they need to learn from what you're going to say, takes a huge amount of pressure off yourself. Huge. It took me months to launch this podcast because I was just nervous. I didn't want to, have negative feedback on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, but once I realized that I was having these conversations and training people and making huge waves in their companies and helping them really move up in their careers, I realized if I don't launch this podcast, I can't help more people, right? So if I make it about you and helping you, I'm a lot less nervous, guaranteed. Another thing, exercise. We cannot underestimate the need to get that nervous energy out. If you exercise, I don't care what it is. It could be just walking the dog in the morning at 5 a.m. when you wake up. It could be hitting the Peloton really heavy at 6. It could be doing jumping jacks, sit-ups, yoga. Also meditate. That's super important, even for 5 minutes. But if you get some of that nervous energy out, it's not going to be filling your body and your head with all that extra stuff that doesn't serve you, right? Does not serve you. So exercise, really important. Eat right. If our body has less inflammation, if we have less brain fog, we feel more confident. The words come into our heads the way we want them to. They don't just disappear. Oh, what was I about to say? How many times have we had that? It's not just an aging thing. It's also a food thing. If you eat a really good anti-inflammatory kind of diet and really adopt that lifestyle, you're more likely to think faster, have those words come to your mind a lot faster. So really important. Hydrate. If your vocal cords are nicely hydrated because you drink 100 fluid ounces a day or 120 or 90, and log it. I use a basic free app called Water Llama. It's on Apple. I use that and I log it every day because I know if I'm hydrated, my vocal cords, I don't get that restriction, I'm not shaky, and I'm not constantly clearing my throat. I also limit caffeine, and that's not going to be a big, a lot of people are like, ugh, rolling their eyes right now, but I have 1 cup of coffee because caffeine very much dries out your vocal cords. And if they're not hydrated, they definitely can get shaky. So be really careful with that. Sleep. Let's go back to just not having that brain fog, right? Making sure the words come to your mind. If you're nervous because you feel like, oh, I just can't get my thoughts together, you're more likely to have that kind of shakiness, not breathe properly, all those things. So just make sure you sleep 7 to 8 hours, it's really important. I wear, this is not anything I'm sponsored by or anything, but I wear the Whoop app because it tells me even if I'm in bed sometimes for 8 hours, I might have gotten only 6 hours and 53 minutes of sleep. I'm telling you that because I know I got 6 hours and 53 minutes of sleep last night. And I want to improve on that. So I make sure to do some things. My personal trainer has taught me to do some things. I should credit him to make sure I get better sleep because I will perform much better the next day if I get good sleep. All right, here's a big one. Say you do all of that and you're about to step on stage or about to get in front of your computer and do an interview on CNN live and you're nervous. Your heart is racing, you're shaky. So important to breathe. Deep, deep breath. When you breathe nice and deeply, it will slow down your heart rate and you will start to breathe much easier, much faster than if you sit there and you feed into that shakiness and that hyperventilating kind of breath, okay? That does not serve you. Just need to take a nice deep breath, okay? And the key there is to make sure your exhalation is longer than your inhalation. So take that deep breath, maybe only in 2 seconds, but then exhale for 5 to 10 seconds. So it's like, it's really slow. You might only have to do 2 of those, where if you didn't, if you tried to slow yourself down by not breathing slowly, it's going to take you a lot longer. And I'm going to look at something because I want to make sure I get this right, but it actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which decreases the heart rate and dilates the blood vessels, reducing your blood pressure. So that's the science behind it. So you know it's legit. As your breathing becomes slower, your brain associates it with a sense of relaxation, right? A state of relaxation. I know this to be absolutely true because I use it before any kind of major training that I do for, name the thought leader or emergency physicians, et cetera, at Harvard, Mayo, wherever. And I'm a little nervous. These guys are incredible. They're rock stars. These men and women are absolute rock stars. And sometimes I get super nervous. But if I can just take those deep breaths with those very long exhalations, makes a huge difference. And, this kind of triggered me about a year and a half ago. My personal trainer started doing this. We would do these really intense HIIT training sessions where we would work out for like 3 or 4 minutes. And then when I'm done with that series of exercises and I'm out of breath, he would tell me to increase my exhales instead of kind of letting my brain, do all that rapid, crazy breath, right? If I could get 2 or 3 really nice long exhales, I absolutely miraculously just recovered much faster. Recovery much faster, and then I could get back to the workout much faster. So imagine how that might help you with your workouts, and it's also going to help you get onto the stage faster instead of, freaking out for 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Just a couple, like we're talking 2 or 3 really deep breath, quick deep breath, and then that long exhale, okay? And I promise you then you're not going to be speaking with a shaky voice. I'm wondering whether or not I want to share this one last tip about the breathing, but I think I'm going to do it. Like, if this grosses you out, I'm sorry, but this is a really great side note for moms and dads. I have a toddler. And I know this whole breathing thing works because I even started incorporating it with my toddler. And I do it to help my toddler relax when she has to go to the bathroom, as in go poopy, right? What I do is she sits on the toilet. She's gonna be terrified someday when this is still on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, and I've been sharing these tips, but the breathing really works. And this could be a great bonus for you if you have a grandchild or a child, right? If they are so nervous and they just can't relax and go to the bathroom, you can use the breathing tip for them. So I'll sit her down the toilet. She's all stressed out. She doesn't want to go to the bathroom. I take literally 2 squares of toilet paper and I put it in front of her, or I have her hold it and I have her blow gently. And what I'm telling her is I'm having her make the toilet paper dance. I'm making it move. But miraculously, she does a long exhale because she wants to see the toilet paper dance longer. She relaxes, and voila, we have a poop. So that's a little bonus lesson for you grandparents and parents. No extra charge. I hope that helps.